what is a gene and what is genetics? I'm going to see if I can explain the basics of that in about 5 minutes. All right. So I know we've heard these terms thrown around before and may have an idea of what they mean, but I know I didn't really know what it meant until I was, after college, 25, taking a biology class in a post-bac program, trying to apply to med school, right? So I know not everybody knows this. The reason why I'm talking about it is because in order to understand a lot of the techniques we use in neuroscience and all the biologic sciences, you need to know some fundamentals of genetics. You may remember last time I talked about optogenetics, and I focused on the opto part, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about the genetics part, all right? So we're going to start with what we call the central dogma of genetics. So and that's that DNA makes RNA, which makes protein, okay? So DNA is composed of genes, among other things, right? Each gene in your DNA has the plans that eventually tell you how to make a protein. Now, we've all heard the term protein before in the context of cells. Proteins do all the jobs that a cell does. Any power that a cell does, it has because it has proteins. So this is actually also why you have different types of cells in your body, right? What makes two cells different, right? We all know that there's some difference between a brain cell and an eyeball cell. This is my diagram of a person with a brain and an eyeball. So every cell in your body has the same DNA. It has the instructions to do everything, make all the machines, make all the proteins. But the difference between a brain cell and an eyeball cell is that only some of those genes are turned on, right? And so they only get some of the proteins. The brain cells have the brain cell genes turned on, they make brain cell proteins. The eyeball cells just have the eyeball genes turned on, they make eyeball proteins, right? So what I've talked about DNA and RNA, or DNA and protein. What the heck is RNA? So RNA is this intermediary that is it's a copy of a gene that is the specific instructions of how to make this protein. Because you've got all these genes in every cell, right? You've got all your DNA in every cell. In order for a cell to know, hey, these are the genes we want, that gene has to be turned on. I won't go into how. And that gene starts to get copied and make this RNA. RNA, is, when it gets into the cell says, oh, this is the actual thing I'm supposed to do. It's not just the plan for everything. This is the machine I'm supposed to make. I'm supposed to make this protein that I'm being told to by this RNA. So I'm gonna make an analogy real quick. So let's say you're trying to build a table. You moved in a new apartment and you have to build a table, right? So all of the information on the internet or in the world is like your DNA, all right? You don't need to know everything in the world in order to build a table, all right? So if the DNA is like Wikipedia or an encyclopedia. It's got all the information for everything, right? But you just need to know how to do your job, how to make your one thing. So you go to a specific Wikipedia page or a chapter in the encyclopedia. You say, okay, how do I build tables? That in-between step is like the RNA. DNA contains all the genes, all the information in the world. RNA is just the instructions to do the job you need, to build the thing you need. How to build tables, right? And then you do the job, you build the table, and your end thing that you have, the table, is like the protein. It's the machine that serves its purpose. It tables things, right? So that's broad strokes how genetics works. You have your DNA, your genome, which is the plans for everything that you have in every cell. That just the genes that you want on in each cell get transcribed or turned on, and that RNA gets put out into the cell. The cell says, oh, I only see brain cell RNA. So it looks like I have to make brain cell proteins. And so that brain cell RNA gets turned into brain cell proteins and you get brain cells, right? That's why cells in your body are different from each other, right? In the context of optogenetics, all right, if this is my diagram of a neuron, right, what we actually do in order to put these optogenetic channels, which are proteins, they're a machine doing things in a cell, the way we get these optogenetic channels into neurons is we use viruses to insert new DNA, new genes that we've constructed into those neurons. Those genes get turned on and they make the optogenetic channel that we've designed, right? And that's how we get the ability to give cells special abilities and study them, like in optogenetics. So that's a broad overview of genetics and genomics in a pretty short period of time.